Okay, well, we're joined now by Jehan Perera. He's the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka's Executive Director. Welcome to the News Hour. Now, the economy is obviously at the heart of this vote, and with inflation hitting 70%, the country narrowly staving off bankruptcy, we can understand why. I just wonder, how different are the approaches to the economy that are being proposed by some of the main candidates, Jehan?
Well, the President Wickremesinghe, he is promising stability. He is promising to take forward the process that he began when the economy had collapsed and when he took over in 2022. He has, by all accounts, he has performed well in terms of international commentary that we hear, that compared to other countries, Sri Lanka's turnaround was much more rapid. And it has been sustainable. So he says that he needs at least 2 more years, preferably 5 years, to complete the tasks that he commenced. Mm-hmm. At the other extreme, we have the leader of the National People's Party, whose main slogan is actually a continuation of the Aragala public people's protest. And the core of the Aragala people's protest was the demand for system change. And the demand for system change has 2 components in it. One is to get rid of the corruption, the corrupt people in the government, and second, new faces. So that is what the National People's Party is presenting. Of course, there has been a lot of concern about the IMF, whether they will stick to the IMF agreement, because they come from a Marxist past. But in recent times, the NPP leader has been saying, yes, he will stick to the IMF agreement, but he will renegotiate it. Now, this is also the position being taken by the candidate in the middle, the opposition leader, Sajith Premadasa, who also says he will renegotiate the IMF agreement. He will, of course, keep to it, but he will renegotiate it so that it is that the hardships are not focused on the masses of the people, but are equitably distributed between the rich and the poor. Because what we have seen in the government's dealing with the economy is that when it had to make a decision regarding how debt would be restructured, the domestic debt, it chose the pension fund of the working people rather than take on the banks, restructure the banks, because it said the banks are too big to fail and the whole economy will collapse.
Yes, well, we've heard that kind of argument being made before elsewhere. Jehan, we don't have that much time. I just wonder if you could explain to us, this race is very close and it doesn't seem there's no clear front runner. What happens if there's no clear winner?
Well, the Constitution is very clear. For a candidate to be elected on the first count, he should get more than 50% of the vote, 50% plus 1 vote. If no candidate gets 50% plus 1 vote, then we count the second and third preferences of the candidates other than the first 2. In other words, the third, fourth, fifth, and thereafter, their second and third preferences are counted. And the candidate out of the first 2, the one who has more, will be declared the president, even if he doesn't get 50% of the vote.
Okay, understood. Well, we will certainly be watching closely this weekend as that election takes place. Jehan Perera, thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.